one of my favorite technical innovations, the constant escapement. So the constant escapement, I guess the story goes that Nicolas Dehon, who was the guy who came up with the idea, he was sitting on the train in Switzerland, and he had his train ticket, and he was flipping it backwards and forwards, so that it was concave and convex. And he was thinking, oh, that's kind of cool because it's got basically its own sort. Just by distorting its geometry, it kind of saves and then gives off energy. And that would be cool to do in a watch, because if you could somehow use that to impulse the escapement, you would take away the erosive power that's being supplied by the mainspring. So the mainspring is as everyone knows, it's the spring that gives the power through the train to the escapement and then to the balance. And the problem is as it unwinds, the torque or the quality of the power becomes weaker. So I guess there's been different solutions to it. You can do it at the barrel, so you could have like a chain and fusée, which was one idea. But then there's also been a lot of different constant force mechanisms. Remontoir d'égalité, as the French call it, which is basically usually like a spring that is like a wheel and a spring that's somewhere in the train that is being reloaded. Anywhere from a couple of minutes or to the most common, I guess, is every 60 seconds. Although there are even 1 second remontoir d'égalités. I think Couple Force has one. But what you guys came up was very different. You came up with a blade, a kind of silicone blade that deforms in two different ways. And each time it deforms, it impulses directly the balance wheel. And by doing that, basically all the mainspring is doing is supplying the power to lock and unlock the escapement wheels to release the spring, to sort of charge it and release the spring. So you take away any erosive effect from the mainspring altogether. I mean, it was really cool. Do we have an initial image? Okay, so here we go. So there's this beautiful silicone framework, which almost looks like a butterfly's wings. And then you see in the center this spring. Now you see it deformed in one way. So it dips from the right to the left, but then obviously it can deform in the other way. And each time it deforms, it releases energy. And this is the energy that's being sent to the escapement wheel, to the balance wheel by virtue of the lever that's in the center. Impulse pin, I guess would be the correct term. And it is, to me, one of the most mind-blowing achievements in watchmaking. Also a very technical one, but it's really cool. So I guess the original version was made in metal. And the problem with that was they couldn't get the tolerances that they wanted in it. But this is, I don't know if you've seen this, Patrick, but it's kind of cool. This is a secret project at Rolex to use the constant escapement, but they were using it with a metal wire. And it just, I guess they couldn't get the tolerances they wanted. But I also look at this and think it's really cool.
Never seen this one. Amazing.
I'll send it to you. It's cool. And then, but it's amazing that you guys finally came out with a watch. And as you've just said, also that you don't create a watch to have one watch that works. You create it to be able to make them in series and to have them. Here we go. So we look here, you can see pretty much the same concept, but you see it's a wire as opposed to one piece in silicon. And I think it was only when you were able to etch out the entire piece in silicon that you were able to do it with the tolerances that were consistent enough to make it perform and to make it in series. But I'll send you these two pictures because I think they're kind of cool. I wonder where this thing is. It would be great to have that. But let's look at the new Constant Escapement watch because I know you've decided to bring it back, and I applaud you for doing that. 2013 winner of the Geneva Grand Prix. Amazing watch, but I'm so happy to see it back. So tell us why you decided to bring it back.
This is by far one of the most important revolutions in watchmaking of the last 15 years, probably. And what's interesting around that project, the project started in 2004. It was clearly, it accelerated in 2008, and it was presented to the public in 2012. Then 2013 was awarded a Copper Prize, and the watch that you're showing has been introduced to the market. So I think it's a long-term project, and we continue to work on a constant escapement as you describe it. And by the way, I'm taking the opportunity to congratulate you, because I probably at the time in 2013, the Revolution was probably the magazine that's done the best article on the constant escapement.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone applauded everyone was really excited about the innovation. I think it's the reason why it was awarded so many prizes during the year 2013. But that innovation, to be honest, is so strong. It deserves that we continue to work on a movement. The great thing is Nicolas Déon, the guy who worked on it and really the inventor of the concept, the guy who was in a train with his ticket, had left the company and he came back. So he's now working with us at Girard-Perregaux for 2 years.
That's
now.
awesome.
He's
awesome.
with us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he tried another company. I'm sure it was interesting, but it was far away from the excitement he would get working on this. This is like, and it's interesting when you think from a human achievement. It's like it looks like a Da Vinci. It's like creating something which is almost a lifetime achievement. And I really hope Nicolas is going to do much more than that. He's probably one of the brightest guys in the industry currently. But working on the escapement, on constant escapement, is such a complex issue, and he's probably the only one to be able to do it and to take it to the next level. So this is between you and me, and maybe the people who are going to watch us. But yeah, we have in mind, we're working on the next generation of constant escapement. This is not for now. This is not for now, but this is a teaser. Bear with us. There is a new generation coming. And the other thing which is so important is the constant escapement is also a bridge. And bridge is a very soul, is the DNA of Girard-Perregaux. In not only in terms of functionality and design, but also because it's really what makes the spirit of the company and establish also. I was talking about Ulysse Nardin and values. Same for Girard-Perregaux. When you think about that bridge between functionality and aesthetics, and being able to do that, and to do it also with a symmetry in a watch, obviously symmetry in the front and in the back of the watch, and working on some details of the watch that are not always seen. I mean, the back of the watch. I had so many comments, people telling me, the one that know bridges, that love our watches, saying, hey, you should actually turn the watch around because the back is actually even nicer than the front. but back to constant escapement, I think it's bringing a massive innovation, not to say revolution, into an iconic piece, which is a bridge. So it's obvious we want to make sure that everyone would see and enjoy the constant escapement that they should.
I love the idea of merging, the constant escapement with the most, the iconography of Girard-Perregaux, which is the concept of these beautiful bridges. I
want to add something, if I may. I want to add something more. What's interesting in a constant escapement already in 20. Sorry about the freeze. It's the ice coming from the free cakes, which is coming back. So I think what I love when the constant escapement was launched, and with the current model, is already a very contemporary timepiece. On an historical piece, meaning, I mean, look at the watch. It's like 2013, 2012, 2013. It's super contemporary in terms of design. It's quite a large case, but it's a superb watch also in terms of aesthetics. And I think somehow it influences the direction we're taking with Girard-Perregaux, which is both doing some more traditional watches, but also like the Esmeralda, but also bringing some modern twist with some also materials into, not only materials in a movement like the silicium, but also materials in a case on watchmaking. And if you look at our latest development with Girard-Perregaux, the Khazar, which is a 3 bridge on a sapphire case.
I love that. That was awesome.
So if you love that, you're gonna love what's coming this fall.
Wow.
We have something coming also along the same line in fall. So it means like you could have really look into your roots and have some tourbillon 3 bridges, and also make them into a way which is more contemporary. And Khazar Light, where the bridges are in sapphire. How cool is that? I mean, it cannot get any better, really. It's probably one of the nicest watch ever. So it started actually with the constant escapement, I think. I mean, the constant escapement watch already set that trend. So you see the continuity over time.
You know, it's funny you say that because I have been feeling for a while that, you know, we went through a period, let's say from 2008 to, or, you know, post-financial crisis. Let's say the majority of the last decade was a decade that was very much informed by classicism and informed by kind of retro and informed by vintage watches, right? You know, that was the major thing. And I still think that they're going to be super relevant because people are always going to be interested in them. But what I somehow I'm feeling is the kind of excitement for the reemergence of tech and technical innovation and futurism and modernism related to watches, which, you know, was maybe from 2000 to 2010, that was the prevailing kind of trend, you know? And now when I'm looking at these achievements, like the Constant Escapement, what you did in the last 5 years for the Freak, and you're talking about sapphire cases, and now all of a sudden I'm dreaming of a Freak Vision in sapphire. I mean, how insane would that be, right? You know, like oh, I'm getting excited by this stuff again, you know, and it's cool because there is almost like in the industry, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I love this industry, but there has been in the last couple of years, like almost maybe everyone would just want to play it safe, right? They want it to be, you know, let's keep it classical. Let's diminish the case size by 2 mm. Let's put like old vintage looking patina, like lume on the dot, you know, on the hands and the indexes. But I feel like suddenly, like when we get out of here, when we're liberated, there's going to be this excitement about living life to its fullest again. And I think that part of that excitement is about, let's bring on the future. Let's really bring on the third millennium, you know?
I fully agree. And we are, you know what? We are alive. And there is a desire to go and do things also differently. Meaning, and the Loretto is a good example. The Loretto watch, you have that, it's already a sports chic watch. And then you could have some twist, if you wish, for the one that love it, in a slightly more sporty, or which is like the one I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Loretto in carbon glass, which is the Loretto Absolute in carbon glass, where we're going into a slightly different direction, but it's super cool. I mean, the first carbon, which is waterproof, and it's, that's cool. You know, we have to play safe on movement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to use the tradition on movement, what we know to do well. It's also good to do that and bring some innovation, the Constant Escapement and maybe the next generation of Constant Escapement. But it's also good to do it and to take risk also on some other material and bring some technology and be daring. I love vintage watches, but I'm super excited to be in today's life. And you just described the feeling that could exist after this time. I share your views. I think more than ever, they're going to be a carpe diem aspect to life. They're going to be a willingness to enjoy life for all of us. And it could take different form. To be honest, for someone, it's going to be buying a watch. For someone else, it's going to be something else. It's going to be about, hey, getting some education for myself, or enjoying life through experiences, not working for a year, or doing something else, or helping others. But it's going to take a different form. But I think for all of us, what it means today, it means about probably taking our level, our standard, to another level and say, hey, I want more of this, or I want to give more. And talking about carpe diem, it's funny we're using that word today.
Yeah.
Because it's a strong value. It's a strong, I think it's probably one thing that stands out so clearly and so strongly at Girard-Perregaux. I think, and it's a Latin word, but when you think of it, Girard-Perregaux as probably it's one of the oldest manufacturer in the world, one of the most reputable, but it's also one of the most approachable. When I say approachable, I say this is not a stiff manufacturer. This is also a manufacturer has been existing for more than 225 years and welcoming you. Well, I mean, making sure that this manufacturer is not like a closed door you have a knock on and you need an invitation. It's in La Chaux-de-Fonds. Being in La Chaux-de-Fonds also says a lot about who we are. I mean, we're not in Geneva, we're not in other places. We are in a place which is different. And we are also willing to welcome visitors. And this is an invitation to everyone watching. that owns the Girard-Perregaux. When you're in Switzerland, feel free, send us an email, send me an email, and feel free to come to the manufacturer. This is also your home. And in spite of the fact it's a manufacturer, there's a lot of amazing watchmakers working on higher ROG pieces. This is also a place where you would want to feel welcome. And that feeling of warmth and almost a sort of Italian touch and a certain quality of life and the carpe diem is part of the company's soul. And you can feel it very strongly there, probably influenced by the Macaluso family who used to own the company before. And we're very lucky to still have Stefano working with me. When I joined the company, I asked Stefano whether he would come back, and he was very kind to accept to work with us on different aspects. And I have a very good relationship with Stefano, who became a friend. And you could feel that feeling of warmth. And I want everyone to feel that.
That's amazing, and I love Stefano. And a big shout out to Stefano if he's watching this, or hopefully he watches this. Let's end with I guess one of the watches that is a symbol of this new era. It's the Constant Escapement, the new version that you'll be launching, which is using a carbon and titanium composite case. Tell us a little bit about this material. So this is the carbon and titanium one, right? And this I hadn't heard before that you can actually mix carbon and titanium. How do you do that?
Super cool. I mean, we work, I mean, with our engineers internally, and also with some we have very strong ties with some suppliers that are able to do that, and it's fascinating. Absolutely amazing material.
Guys, okay, so this is the Constant Escapement with the carbon titanium case, which must be super light and very resistant. But let's go back to Patrick, because I want to continue with what you were talking about. So you have an in-house lab for materials. Yeah,
we do. And the in-house lab has been set up also with a sustainable approach. So we have hired a couple of people that do work on the lab. It's something we announced a couple of months ago. And you know, Girard-Perregaux was probably the first manufacturer to have in-house its own R&D a long time ago. And so there is a long tradition of making sure we'd be on the forefront of innovations. And material is a very important part of it. Obviously, we work on material for components. In the past, I mean, the illustration of the Constant Escapement is a good one. But also, we now have to work also on materials on the case. I think there's so many other things we could be doing on cases. And especially today, I really believe in some cases that would have a sustainable dimension. And I guess in a near future, probably as early as next year, you should start seeing some cases that have that take into consideration the sustainable part, much more than it's the case today.
Patrick, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. I love the idea of all this sort of technical ambition, and I dig what you guys are doing. So thank you again. It was a pleasure. Stay safe, and best to you, my man.
Thank you very much. Really, it was a pleasure. Really, for everyone. Please, I mean, do not hesitate to come up and visit us. And Waco, I wait for you for a Negroni whenever you're ready. Yeah?
Done. Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Cheers. Bye.